Good morning. Okay, let's get this right. Let's get it right. Good morning, YouTube friends. Thanks so much for coming by. Today we've got a Cowardly Olive and I coming at you with another spooky recipe. Pretty sure that this spooky recipe series that I'm doing is pretty much an excuse for me to buy Olive Halloween costumes. I don't think she's super mad about it though. She's getting lots of extra treats, so all is good. This video though is definitely an excuse for me to share with you the easiest pumpkin spice cake recipe you will ever make. It's only 2 ingredients. It happens to be a super simple vegan hack. I'm going to show you how to make the cake and then a couple variations for spooky treats to make throughout the season. Keep on watching to see how we do it.
Okay guys, the only 2 ingredients you need to make this pumpkin spice cake is a can of 100% pumpkin and then a box of spice cake mix.
So definitely take a look at the ingredients on the side of your cake mix. But most spice cake mixes and a lot of the other flavors of cake mix do happen to be accidentally vegan. This Food Club brand is the one that I'm using. Definitely vegan. I believe Duncan Hines is, but again, take a look at the ingredients just to be sure. So we're just going to mix this up until it's just combined. It is going to be a little thicker than your average cake batter, but it will definitely cook off like a normal cake batter would. I really don't know where this original recipe came from. A friend's mom showed me this recipe probably about a decade ago, before I was entirely vegan for sure, and it just stuck with me. It's so simple. I love it. Thought I'd share it with you. So now that you've got the base recipe, I'm going to show you a couple variations of fall snacks that you can make really easily that really zhuzh up the holiday spirit. So first up, we are going to make some cake bites. And normally I would cook off the entire batch. I'd just pour it into probably a 9x11 square pan that's greased and floured. But so your friend Andrea doesn't eat 3 batches of spice cake mix, I'm going to third this recipe for the video so you can see 3 different ways without me making 3 separate giant recipes. I will of course link below all of the ingredients and the amounts you will need for a full box of cake. So I've got a third of this dough that I've put into a greased and floured little 6-inch pan here, and we're going to bake it off. So we bake this little guy off at 350 degrees for about 25 minutes, or until a toothpick inserted came clean. Let it cool. Look how beautiful that cake is. It's nice and moist and beautiful. This is like vegan magic here. How can you do this with 2 ingredients? It blows my mind. So I'm just breaking them apart. And what we're going to do is stir in some icing and make almost like another dough to make our little cake bites. So use any frosting you'd like. You can make your own. You can actually find quite a few frostings in your grocery store that happen to be accidentally vegan as well. This Pillsbury cream cheese icing is vegan. It's quite good, but it's very, very sweet. So I decided to opt for making my own little buttercream here with a little less sugar in it because the cake is quite sweet on its own. So I will, of course, link below that recipe as well for you. So I'm just breaking these up a little bit more. Sorry that the handle of that spatula is right in your line of sight. There we go. So less is more when you're adding this icing. I'm going to start small. I'm going to do probably about 1/4 of a ratio. So 1 part icing, 3 parts cake to start out and see where we're at. And we just want it to barely come together in a little bit of a dough here. Also, the smells in my kitchen right now. There's nothing better than baking a spice cake in the fall. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. I really wish you could smell it right now. So we've got our icing and cake dough mixed up just barely. I'm gonna get that icing out of the way. So you can see it's pretty well mixed, but you can see little ribbons of icing. That's pretty much perfect. And we're just gonna take little tablespoons here and make little balls. And I'm going to pop this little parchment paper piece into the freezer, and we're gonna freeze them for about 25 minutes before they get a little bath in some dark chocolate. Once they're nice and cooled down, we're just going to dunk them in some melted dark chocolate here. With a fork, I'm kind of just dunking them and letting them drip a little bit so we don't get too much chocolate. Then we're gonna plop them on some parchment paper, add a little bit of sprinkles, and let them cool down and form a really yummy shell that's going to go so perfectly with that pumpkin spice flavor. That's it. Super simple. Okay guys, recipe variation number 2. I found these adorable little silicone molds here, and there's some little flower shapes and bundt cakes, and we're going to use them to make some mini pumpkin little bundt cakes. You can totally do this with cupcakes instead, but I thought this would be fun to build a little actual pumpkin looking cupcake. So I'm just piping in with a piping bag just cut open, no tip, into each of these little molds that I've sprayed a little bit of cooking spray into. I'm using the piping bag because the batter, like I said, is a little bit thicker, so I just want to make sure it gets down into those nooks and crannies of the bundt molds. And we're just going to bake them off like you would a cupcake at 350 degrees for probably about 15 minutes. Just keep an eye on these guys. They brown up a little bit more quickly than a full cake, obviously. And here they are, all nice and browned up. Gonna remove them. Look how cute that little mold is. It's so perfect. I'm easily pleased around here. So I'm just going to demold all of our little bunts here, and then we're going to take a serrated knife and I'm going to kind of just shave off a little bit of that bump on the bottom, because what we're going to do is make almost like a bundt cake sandwich. So we have a full 3D pumpkin spice cake pumpkin. And these little scraps will not go to waste. They'll be a snack. We're also going to do a little bit of a taste test with the olive. There's no frosting or chocolate going on here, so I think we're doing pretty good. See if she likes it. Cowardly Olive approved. Yes. She's so good. Perfect little olive snack. Okay, moving on back to the to the pumpkin bunts here. I'm just taking a little bit of that frosting that we used for our cake bites. Gonna make a little ring here and connect our little bunts, and you'll have a beautiful little pumpkin. How cute is that? Oh my gosh, it's so cute and so simple. And you can leave it at that. You can also maybe dust it with a little bit of powdered sugar. You can have your kids decorate it with different color icing, whatever you're in the mood for. I think I'm just going to color a little bit of my frosting green and make a little stem and call it good, since it's got the frosting on the inside. Not get super crazy here. I just have another little piping bag that I cut a little tiny slit in. I probably should have added a tip because I didn't cut it enough and it kind of went wonky everywhere, but you get the idea. Green stem, pumpkin spice pumpkin. We're looking good. Recipe number 2 complete. How stinking cute is that? And so simple. And then see how that has kind of like a joint that's coming apart? I'm just going to make the little stem right there so it glues it right on back together. Problem solving with icing. Not a bad Saturday. So now on to our third and final recipe. We are going to make arguably my favorite variation, Cheeros. Oh, this is so exciting. So all you need to do is take the rest of that batter. I'm going to put it in a piping bag. I bought this big star tip here just so we can have it look authentic, but you can honestly just use a Ziploc bag, use a pastry bag with just a hole cut in it, whatever works for you. So I'm just getting that on in there, and we're going to plop all of our dough into the icing bag. We've also got some canola oil going on our stove. I've just got it in a fry pan about 2 inches deep on medium heat, letting it heat up while we get this dough in our bag, which apparently is taking longer than I thought it did. I'm folding the bag over like so I can plop it in and not get my hands dirty. You kind of see what I'm doing here, pushing it in. And we will be ready to fry up our little pumpkin Cheeros. Okay guys, we're looking good. So this does take a titch of finessing. It took me a couple tries the first time I made them to get them in the pan right and to get my coordination with my little knife. But all you do is you squeeze Try to go as straight as possible and then use a little butter knife to cut it off. I'm going to do 3 at a time. You don't want to crowd your pan. This dough is incredibly delicate. It's much more delicate than an actual churro dough. So you're just going to move it around with a knife here. They cook up really fast too. So about 15 seconds in, you're going to just flip over with your knife or a spatula like so. As you can see, it's already quite brown. And we're going to give it another 15-20 seconds and they will be good to go. I'm going to pull them out and plop them onto some paper towel like you can see on the left here. I've got a little batch draining. And while they're all still warm, we're going to roll them in some cinnamon and sugar. Little side note, make sure when you're flipping these, just flip them away from you so you don't get any of that splatter coming towards you. It'll at least move away from you. And once our little pretty warm pumpkin spice churros are nice and coated in cinnamon sugar, we're going to transform them into little churro witch fingers, which is super, super easy to do. We're just going to take a little bit of that frosting that we made, or frosting that you bought, add a little to the edge, and then stick on a sliced almond, and it'll look like a little fingernail, and just amp it up as far as decoration goes that much more. And here are our little pumpkin spice churro witch fingers. Aren't they just the cutest thing you've ever seen? And they're so delicious. So we've got those on our platter. I've got a lot of extra sprinkles, so I put those sprinkles underneath just kind of for some more decoration. We've got our little bundt pumpkins. I've got my cake bites in the middle. I had a little bit extra of our melted dark chocolate, so I decided to put them in a piping bag and cut a tiny little hole and just pipe out some freehand bat wings and swirls and things to add as decoration to our cake bites here. So I'm just going to peel it off. Super simple. This is so, so easy to do, and it just adds that much more flair to your spooky decorations. So I'm just taking a little bit. Oh, I changed my mind. I'm going to go with the green. I'm using the stem icing from our pumpkins there. I'm just going to pipe a little bit on the side of our cake pop, or cake bite, I'm sorry. And we're going to stick on one of the bat wings. And I'll put one on the other side, and I'll do it to a couple more, and we will have a very, very festive pumpkin spice filled platter. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope that you love this recipe as much as I do. Let me know if you give it a try, which variation you like the best. It's so much fun. I hope that you're staying safe and healthy, and I really can't wait to talk to you soon. Cheers.